considering the fact that yesterday they actually limited out a lot of the pause for heroes, forcing the Philippines to bring something different out, which had a fantastic run, by the way, the Veil yesterday of Rage. Superior positioning, by the way, from this man. So I'm going to be looking forward to see a lot of kiting as well from the Philippines. We're not a country that is new to Mobile Legends. We've been playing this game for the longest time, and I would say the strongest as well. When it comes to Mobile Legends, we're quite active when it comes to playing. So right now,
Yeah,
if you
with
take a
as
look at the
reigning
lanes,
M3 champions.
yeah, reigning M3 champions, but for the Razer C Invitational, we're kind of giving you guys a glimpse of what could possibly happen in the C games, which will be happening this year, by the way. So, going back to what I mentioned, Ingan, let's take a look at the gold lane, the Clint and the Brody. A lot of pokes. The bot side, I mean, this is a matchup we've seen for the longest time, the Esmeralda and the Uranus. So, I feel like it's quite an even ball game when it comes to the side lanes, but I'm quite interested to see how this Estes will pan out for the Philippines. We're known for using the Estes. Blacklist International is made this quite popular. So right now, Philippines with the sustain, they also have the heavy frontliners. So when it comes to clashes, I feel like they will be able to sustain the damage output coming in from Cambodia, especially since this Johnson Lunox is known to wreak havoc.
And I do believe that Cambodia will try to apply the same strategy as they try to initiate a lot of engagements with that Lunox and Johnson combination. But the problem here is that Estes, with
Daytona's
that
welcome.
Daytona's welcome on that Johnson. Johnson will fall down in the hands of that Clinton. I was mentioning a while ago that
Mhm.
it's hard to initiate those types of engagements that Cambodia is used to when you're dealing with a lot of sustainable heroes such as Esmeralda and of course this Estes.
Yeah, but I just noticed the emblem here of Toshi is actually the high and dry, which means he really wants to go in for the pokes in this lane. He wants to win the trade-off up against Fury. But now it seems like Cambodia has a different idea. They want to actually try and gank Toshi here on the top side, whereas the Philippines already got the first turtle of the game. Let's take a look at the items. Not so much yet, but that is enough for the Philippines to take in the turtle. A lot of resources already for them. A lot of ultimates burned as well here for both sides, as no casualties will be committed for both sides, both Cambodia and the Philippines.
Cambodia trying to get that tower dive in the top lane, but sustain. And of course, Clint will bring down this Johnson. Johnson trying to linger too much on the top lane as this Clint along with this Estes will bring him down in the process.
Yeah, full throttle from the Johnson. D7 still hasn't had that level 4 power spike, so no driving yet. As of this moment, it's still the 3-minute mark. It's still too early, but later on, you'll be seeing more of D7 and CCAT. But right now, it's the Philippines leading with the kill score. Toshi also winning the lane. That's a lot of gold plating for Toshi here on the top side, which kind of explains why he got that emblem in the first place. But once again, ultimate being popped up here by Rage. Superior positioning. The Choco getting caught in the midst of it all. Dogman does pop up that ultimate, as well as a surprise attack from the backside from C7. And Dogman, unfortunately enough, the sustain here from Dogman is still not enough. The surprise plays from Cambodia that we saw earlier on, once again, we're seeing it right now.
And yes, I do believe that's what Cambodia has been waiting for. That combination of Johnson and Lunox going right after that backline. A surprise attack on the team of the Philippines and now dealing a lot of damage in the process. Tying the score up 3-3 with a similar goal for both of the teams.
Yep. It was actually Sion who did the wombo combo of the Paquito, and at the same time, I think the Philippines did not expect the full throttle to land on them on the top side. But once again, speaking of the full throttle, here comes D7. I'm not so sure if... Oh, yes, he does have CCAT on the right, so it's a matter of time that D7 will land on someone. Will it be Dogman here? But it's just he's just playing around here with the Philippines. Okay, he's waiting for the proper moment to land onto someone. Will it be Kirk actually on the bot side, or will it be the Turtle Pit who's the target here of D7 and CCAT?
As the fight continues here in the turtle lane, D7 again about to approach the Philippines but decides not to engage as the Philippines will take down this turtle.
Yep, they get the turtle in right now. The sustain is here from Dogman to actually sustain and all the damage output that CCAT is having. They can do the dives here as well, but here comes the Order of Brilliance. Here comes D7 with the full throttle, but here comes the sustain as well from Dogman, and now it's forcing Cambodia to back away from the clash, and that is what the Philippines want. Yes, you land onto us, but we have Dogman to sustain all the damage output coming in from D7 and CCAT.
This is what we were talking about earlier in the game.
And speaking of evening, we're hoping to actually close it, or the Philippines and Cambodia actually hoping to close this out with a win for this day number 2 for their match number 3. So let's see how this will pan out. Speaking of tower takes, Philippines, they are trying to take in the towers. Speaking of towers, it is going to be Kirk actually taking down the tower on the top side. So good call for the Philippines. Now they have to equalize with the tower takes here of Cambodia.
Paquito going right after that Esmeralda, as Esmeralda uses that falling star moon to fall back, but Paquito and Uranus continues to chase after that Esmeralda, as Paquito will bring down that Esmeralda. But although Esmeralda did went down, he was actually able to take down the tier 1 tower in exchange for that tier 1 tower in the mid lane.
Yes, they have to further push forward now. Toshi looking to push this bot side as well. 2 towers down for Cambodia. So if the Philippines does get this, yes they do, it is going to be equalizing the tower takes here from Cambodia. 2-4-2. It's still the 6-minute mark. Quite a fast game when it comes to objective. These two teams, they know that very well. Choco, Dogman, and Rage already rotating here to the Turtle Pit, but let's not forget that D7 is already rotating once again in the map. He could possibly land on Kirk here on the top side, and yes, speaking of Kirk, he does get taken down there by D7 with the full throttle. But in exchange, Philippines, they do get that turtle. But now, if you take a look at the map control, it seems to be Cambodia is getting the map control here. The Philippines, it's a given fact that if you have an Estes, you're going to be sticking together. The Cambodia knows that very well. They seem to be doing split pushes right now.
Paquito going right after that Estes, as Estes goes down in the hands of that Paquito. Good rotation on the side of the Cambodia as they try to refocus their attack now on this Barretts. Barretts will continue to back off, but Johnson says no. But Esmeralda says no, and Sicilian as that rolling star moon connects, as well as that skills coming from that Sicilian. Glenn continuing to chase after Fury. Fury will be forced to back down, as what an amazing counter set both from Cambodia and the Philippines, as Esmeralda still continues to go right after that Uranus. Uranus will be caught by that Sicilian, as Esmeralda will try to burst down that Uranus. Uranus is still alive. Uranus will live, will survive that onslaught coming from that Esmeralda, and of course that Sicilian as they take the tier 1 tower in the mid lane. But Johnson says no again. Johnson going right after that Sicilian, not stopping, going right after that SS. SS nowhere to go. Barretts trying to help his teammates, but will be forced to disengage as counter set after counter set after counter set in a heated match against Cambodia and the Philippines. BK, what are your thoughts?
The Philippines still leading with the 1k gold lead up against Cambodia. As for tower takes, it's still the Philippines leading. But the way this is going is, did you see that all the ultimates were burned there to take down Choco? I'm so sorry, Choco, but it seems to be like you are the sacrificial lamb. I mean, because it's a Barretts. You need to sustain the damage. The main frontliners here for the Philippines is actually Kirk and Choco, considering how tanky they are. And right after that, you have the sustain of Dogman. That was what they wanted for Cambodia to pop in all those ultimates, and Rage to actually get the superior positioning just to kite the members here from the side of Cambodia. But the biggest threat here for the Philippines is D7 and CCAT. But right now, D7, it's more of rattling in the Philippines, right? You don't know where he's coming from, and right now it seems to be Kirk is the target of D7. He does land on Kirk, but the sustain is here. He is all alone, being bursted down here by Sion, as the Philippines answers it out with taking the first Lord of this game.
Actually, both teams performing well. Yes, the Philippines got the Lord, but Cambodia got that Esmeralda. Both teams utilizing all the resources, utilizing all the time, making sure that some things are happening for their respective teams. Now, although the Philippines got this Lord, they have to watch out for D7 and that Lunox combination, because it always just seems to catch them off guard in the nick of time as Barretts continues to zone out the Lunox. All 4 players players from the Philippines going with the Lord now, actually trying to burst this Uranus down as they approach D7 from the backline, but nothing. He won't hit anything. Uranus will be forced to back out as he couldn't withstand the damage. The Lord will go down as the Philippines are trying to burst down this tier tower in the middle lane, but Paquito focusing his attack on that tier 2 tower in the bottom lane. Good segue on the side of this Paquito, and good defense on the side of Cambodia.
You know what? If you take a look at the items, you're kind of wondering if Choco is actually the jungler. He's a very tanky jungler, already securing in the Guardian's Helmet as well as the Radiant Armor. And if you are Choco, you kind of want to rotate here with the damage dealers, Stockman, Rage, and Toshi. If you take a look at how the Philippines is rotating, it's just Kurt actually doing the split pushes. And as for Cambodia, it is Sion, because D7 and CCAT here, the surprise plays that they're doing, it's just so on point. Actually, even if CCAT is not with D7, there's still a surprise factor here for the Philippines. So that's something that they're watching out for. Therefore, the Philippines is rotating by force. So if you see, it's just Kirk rotating on the top side, clearing out the waves. As for Choco, Rage, and Toshi, they have to stick together because at any given moment, D7 could just land on any of these heroes. These are quite squishy targets, but mind you, they are glass cannon heroes. They dish out so much damage here towards the members of Cambodia.
Actually, I do agree that Barrett has to indeed stay with his damage dealers as he is focusing on the sustain items right now, despite having an Estes. Really respecting that surprise plays by Cambodia, needs to be able to sustain those surprise plays and be able to force a counter attack after that Estes ult will be popped. So he really has to stay beside the Splint and the Sicilian. As we see, they're trying to steal the purple buff from that Paquito. Will Cambodia engage? No, they will not, as they lack members here in the purple buff, as Uranus will also try to push that bot lane in preparation for that Lord take. 10 seconds coming in, but Philippines are not stopping as they try to take down Paquito. Estes with that final kill. They will also take down this tower. Lunox trying to go in from the front line, and Barretts will continue his attacks on that Brody, and of course that Lunox. Lunox will be sent back. Lunox will be finished by that Sicilian. Good counter set on the side of the Philippines as they take objective. They also take down this Paquito, and of course that Lunox. But Uranus on the other hand, good segue, good anticipation on that play, focusing right now on pushing the lane, focusing right now on trying to get an objective as the Philippines will try to get this Lord. Will we see another D7 combination as they take down this Lord?
Yep, Philippines quickly does take down the Lord, but I have to commend Kirk there on that clash. Did you see how he was able to block off D7 and CCAT? With that positioning, like Kirk was able to zone them away. He actually took in the damage there from D7's full throttle. And right after that, it was just Rage and Toshi dishing out damage towards Cambodia. And right now, Philippines, they know how to deal with this very well. But the major problem here for the Philippines is how to deal with the split pushes coming in from Cambodia. Given the fact that these are heroes like the Uranus and even Sion here can actually do split pushes. So it's great that Kirk can actually sustain on his own. Now the Philippines has the very first Luminous Lord here, so D7 can perhaps go for the surprise.
D7 coming from the back, stuns Barrett along with the rest of the Philippines as they try to take down his tier 1 tower. Lord still up alive. That Uranus couldn't withstand the damage coming from the Philippines as they bring down this tier 1 tower in the top lane. As you can see, Johnson in the map coming from behind.
D7.
His ult connect. D7 will not try to engage as Cambodia will. Brody will go down in hands of that plant as they try to go for this GG push. Paquito will try to clear out the way. Falling Star Moon will connect on that Uranus. D7 hits Sicilian with the counter set. Everyone from Cambodia will go down. Uranus trying to delay this push, but Uranus will be forced to back up as Paquito and the rest of Cambodia will try to defend the minion wave in the mid lane. Falling Star Moon again on that Lunox. Lunox will be forced to back out. Nice knock up on Paquito. Paquito trying his best, but the sustain coming from that S it's just too much to handle. Lunox popping this ult right on time, but they forgot about the base. Clint was actually forcing his attack on that base, forcing that GG push to secure game 1 for the Philippines against Cambodia.